Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm back after being sick with a terrible cough. But now that I could talk again, I'm here to talk about the originals, more specifically about the spoilers for season 3 that were revealed on July 10th, 2015 at San Diego Comic-Con. It happened a little earlier than my liking, but because of this, shooting for season 3 hadn't started yet. But at the time of this panel, the cast did get the first 3 scripts for the season. So let's get started with that sizzle trailer that they revealed. The majority of it was just recapping the first 2 seasons. So old footage, yet it was edited in a way that not only did it recap what had happened, but it brought everything into a new light to things we've already seen. And it made connections apparent when they maybe weren't the first time around, which I absolutely love. I mean, I had goosebumps when I first watched it, and to see the division going into season 3 between the characters, to see all the allies that Klaus has now lost, which are Elijah, Freya, Marcel, and Cammy, and then to see the new enemies he now has, which are Davina, Vincent, Jackson, and Haley. It truly shows just how alone Klaus is, and to see basically what he's done to lose all those people or to turn all those people against him. Although, and I'm happy to see this, but Rebecca didn't appear in either category. She wasn't someone he had lost or someone who turned into an enemy against him, so I hope that means something. And I do hope we see her again. But now, the interesting part, because at the very end of the trailer, we see brand new footage, which was meant to be added to the season 2 finale after Klaus did his whole monologue to Baby Hope as he held her. But instead of adding it to the finale, we see it in this trailer. Now, there's a man and a woman who seem focused on taking down the Michelsons. No surprise there. But they did have files on those closest to the originals, which included Marcel, Davina, Cammy, and Haley, which gives me the impression that these 4 will be targeted to get to the originals, to kind of weaken them in a sense. Now, I'm very glad that Hope did not have a file, and hope she does not get a file, because that would just be harsh. So the woman declares that instead of fighting each other, they go after the ones who made them, which are the Michelsons. And this only gives the impression that these 2 may be one of the first vampires that the originals had turned. Basically, they're vampire children, I guess you can call them. And I'm very excited to see how this goes, since the focus on the vampire sire bloodlines was first introduced and really only focused back in season 3 of the Vampire Diaries. So it'd be great to see that being brought to the forefront and on the spin-off show too. And despite the small footage that we got for the trailer, in general, it really pumped me up for this new season, which is set to premiere, and mark your calendars for Thursday, October the 8th at 9 p.m. on the CW. So let's move on to what was revealed about the upcoming season. Now, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to see if I can recap it all within 10 minutes. I got a timer set, and I'm ready to use it. Do you think I could do it? Well, let's find out. But before I start, I just want to say that all spoilers that I found came from either the full panel for the show, which you can find somewhere on YouTube, the quick Q&A session that was provided by the CW, which can be found on their channel, and then also an interview done by TV Line, and the interview can be found on their channel as well. So 3 sources for this video in regards to any spoiler information. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the clock and let's get started. So, panel asked who were the new people in the trailer, and like I said before, it was said that they were the first sired vampires, and this season will focus more on the perspectives of these new vampires and how it relates to their respective Michelson bloodline. Questions about Esther and Dahlia or Michael ever returning, and apparently that storyline is completely done now that the actual parents are taken care of. The Michelson siblings themselves will be in the parents' shoes as their sired vampire kids come back to town. Haley and Klaus having their division between taking care of Hope, leaving Klaus to be the solo parent. Is that going to happen for long? Haley's still cursed, but Klaus is basically co-parenting with Elijah, even though their bond is basically shattered at this point. But Klaus is trying his best. Freya seems to also be co-parenting with them, and she's kind of the middleman between Klaus and Elijah, because she's there for Hope, but she also wants to see peace within her family, a family that she has finally found after 1,000 years. So there's that. And also apparently Klaus made the calculated decision to include Freya into the family, into Hope's life, because of what Dahlia had told him about how Hope's magical ability may cause her trouble later on, because that's what Freya experienced. So instead of having Dahlia teach Hope, I guess Klaus had it in his mind that he was gonna have Freya fill that role. So there's that. Now comes to Klaus and Haley's views on how to raise Hope. Haley, more than anything, will want a normal family dynamic for Hope, which would mean a mother and a father. So at one point, she and Klaus will have to be in the same room as Hope together and not want to kill each other. But apparently Julie Plec revealed that there will be a custody battle for Hope very early on in the season, and it will be violent. So looking forward to that. But because of that, we will see Haley, human Haley, or not human, I guess we'll see Phoebe Tompkin playing Haley instead of just seeing a wolf portraying Haley. So since Haley's so cursed, we'll only see her on the full moon. So I guess that's easy timeline wise, but I hope every episode isn't like a month later, because that would kind of leave a lot of gaps. But it seems that Elijah would be the front man to getting Haley back to normal, and he's great patience, so he'd even wait for Haley. He basically wait out Jackson, since I'm pretty sure Jackson will not want to become a hybrid, so eventually Jackson will die. So Elijah's willing to wait for that to happen and stay devoted to Haley. Klaus and Camille's relationship was brought up a lot, especially their talks about connections and soulmates and stuff like that in the finale. But a lot of it came up with that Cammie's darkness is seen by Klaus, and then she sees the likeness in him, and that's what brings the intrigue to both of them. So it'll be interesting how that plays out, but she will be acting as his therapist and trying to help him make amends for everything that he's done, while still being Klaus about it. So basically no I'm sorry's, and not actually trying to fix anything like with Haley. Okay, in regards to Cole being resurrected, that's still going to be an issue that Rebecca is definitely seeing too on her journeys, and Davina is still determined to get Cole back, though she doesn't know how to do it yet, now that her last idea basically got hijacked by Esther. So there's that, and Davina's the new regent leader, so she also has those responsibilities to deal with. But in regards to Cole, we will see original Cole, basically played by Nathaniel, in flashbacks, and apparently we're going to see a lot of them dealing with the original family around their 10-year mark of being vampires. Therefore, we're also going to see glimpses of the original Finn as well, and the state of Finn's current situation will be addressed, because the last time we saw him, his soul was drawn into Freya's necklace. So there's that. In regards to Davina and Vincent is going to try to be a a mentor, for Davina, although she believes she doesn't need one, or she doesn't want one. So there's going to be kind of some struggles between teacher-student type thing. And any crossovers now that both shows will be on Thursday nights. Again, it was mentioned that crossovers are tricky, since both the Vampire Diaries and the originals are very serialized shows. It's not like the usual comedy shows where you can just watch one episode and not really miss anything. But with Vampire Diaries and the originals, it's a continuous storyline, so it'll be very tricky to put in a character for one show flawlessly without making it seem like an abrupt disruption. So they definitely have to wait for the perfect moment to do that. And the Flash and the Arrow crossovers were brought in as comparison, since those type of crossovers are kind of easier because not only are the two sets of cast, their characters are friends with each other, and they're basically fighting on the same side in a bigger team. On the vampires and the originals, they're on opposite sides, the characters, so there's always that issue as well. Okay, and let's go to the interviews. Nope, Q&A stuff. Camille and Klaus are brought up again. Apparently Camille is going to try to put up more boundaries with Klaus, even though I believe it's going to get more complicated because she has already acknowledged her feelings for him and the fact that he's a monster, so it's definitely going to be conflicting, complex emotions between those two. Haley struggles with being cursed are brought up as well. She's not just struggling with being a wolf for basically a month, and then only being human for a day, and then going back to that cycle. Haley's main struggle is the fact that she's away from hope, and that she's missing many of these first moments that her baby is having. And Haley's also struggling with her anger against Klaus. So basically, she's got to figure out a way to seek revenge against Klaus during that one night she's human, while also trying to fit in the fact that she's going to want to spend time with Hope. She's going to want to spend time with her husband, who's also cursed. So, like, there's that. The interview talked about more detail for each character, but season 3 picks up not too long after the season 2 finale. It's not directly after, but it's not like years a time jump, so I'm assuming maybe months. If anything, I would assume it's a 5-month time jump, just so that it matches up with the fact that the summer hiatus has been 5 months roughly. But don't take my word for it, but there's definitely a little time jump between the season 2 finale and the season 3 premiere. Klaus and Elijah are at their worst, since Elijah's at his breaking point with Klaus. Davina is rising in power as a new witch. Haley's a wolf in the bayou still. Marcel has taken over the vampires in New Orleans, and he's working on his comeback. Vincent trying to be a mentor to Davina while he himself refuses to practice magic. I mentioned that before. And then Camille is being the therapist and the confidant to Klaus, trying to help him with his anger issues and trying to keeping his own promise to be a better person. What else? Cole's resurrection, which body he would come back, and would he come as the original vampire Cole, or would he come back as a witch Cole? It's a great question, and I'm under the impression we will get answers, because we have seen vampires being brought back. We have seen that. And then we've also seen witches being brought back in the original bodies, like with Papa Tunde. So it'd be interesting which of the two versions we get. I love both versions of Cole. I thought they were fantastic. And I'm also missing Nathaniel being Cole, though, and I'd really be interesting to see how he plays off the Covina relationship. So maybe that's why I'm being familiar with. Let's see what else. I don't know what that ring was, if you heard it, so sorry about that. Julie Plec mentioned that Vincent will be shunned for Davina's life, and he has to prove himself as a mentor. Michael Narducci mentioned that Vincent will have new issues to deal with early on in the season, but that's all he mentioned about it. Let's see, there will be Haley and Elijah moments, but I think for a bit we'll only see them when the full moon, obviously. Let's see. more about Klaus and Camille and the appeal between the two of them, more about the crossovers, mainly the serialized stuff between both shows is what the main issue was. But I believe, yep, my time is up. I guess that's what the weird ringing noise was. So I believe I covered everything. I hope I did. A lot of the time was basically me looking through the jot notes I wrote down. And then, of course, there were a lot of the fan questions, a lot of the trivial questions as well about, like, the behind-the-scenes stuff. But I didn't mention that because it's not really Season 3 spoilers. But with that said, I'm excited to see the new season. I think the show just keeps getting better and better with each season, and I can't wait to learn more about the first vampires that were created after the originals, and what or how they view the Michelson family, because essentially they can't kill them off without killing themselves. So how do they deal with that issue? Do they even know about that issue? Because I don't think the originals themselves knew about it until after Finn was first killed. So there's that. And what else? The time jump, I don't think it will match up with the time jump with the Vampire Diaries. It'd be cool if it did, but if it doesn't match up, then that could be a reason why there may not be any crossovers anytime soon, because justifying that would be a bit tricky. So I'm gonna leave it at that. And what are you guys excited for in the upcoming season? What do you hope will happen? What do you think may happen? And who do you hope we see again? I'm definitely hoping we see Rebecca. Both faces will be fine as long as we see the character again. I can't wait for that. Cole, I really hope he comes back somehow, some way. I'm definitely excited for the flashbacks, since apparently in the premiere I've heard that we will get flashbacks of the 10-year mark of being vampires for the Michelsons. That means we get Klaus, Elijah, original Rebecca, which is Claire Holt, original Cole, which is Nathaniel, and then original Finn that we saw in season 3 of the Vampire Diaries, which was Casper. So I'm excited to see those 5 actors and actress reunited on the screen again, and basically sharing the screen again, because I think the last time we saw all 5 of them together was in the flashback back in 116 when they're all little children. So excited for that. And so don't forget to mark your calendars. That is Thursday, October 8th at its new time at 9 p.m. on the CW. October 8th, 2015. Do not forget. And I hope you guys stay tuned for my other videos. I'm doing a Vampire Diaries one for the Comic-Con spoilers soon. Hopefully you'll check back for any more of my originals after shows. If you haven't already checked out the ones I did for the last few episodes of season 2, check out my channel. I have a playlist for it as well. But until next time, thank you for watching. I truly appreciate it. Leave a comment below if you have anything to add for season 3 spoilers, or if you have your own predictions for the season, you have your own hopes for the season of what you want to see, who you want to see back. I'd love to hear about it. What do you think, or even what do you think the season will be focused on, aside from a brief little bit we've been told. So this is Mel signing off, and I better go. So until next time, bye guys.